Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Disney bride Lorie Thompson about her East Plaza Garden wedding at Magic Kingdom with a reception at the St. Augustine Ballrooms A-C at the Grand Floridian Convention Center. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how she chose these locations and how she planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Lorie.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on the show today. I always like to start at the very beginning and find out how you and your fiancé decided that you wanted to have your wedding at Disney.
Oh my, well, getting married at 37, you always think about what your wedding will be. And we kind of decided initially, I said, are you sure you just don't want to elope? Like, this will be really chill. We don't have to worry about much. And he's like, no, let's have a wedding. And I said, well, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to be big then. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this. So when looking at venues, Disney has always been really near and dear to my heart. My father is a retired colonel. He lived in Kuwait for the majority of my life. And on his military leaves, he would fly back and always take us to Disney World. For his little week visit, it was always Disney, always spending that good quality time with my dad. And I couldn't think of a better place for him to walk me down the aisle than the Disney park. And that was my husband's condition. He said, no, your dad has to be able to walk you down the aisle. And that's why he didn't just want to look real fast.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we just ended up at Disney.
So how did your friends and family react when they found out where the wedding was going to be?
I really think they thought I was joking. They were probably like, haha. And I was like, no, really. It's going to be in the Disney World Magic Kingdom park in front of the castle. And then they kind of took a second, and then realizing kind of my modus operandi, they're like, okay, this is probably something she will do. So this is believable. And then they all got super excited. The investment from everybody was just like Cinderella making her dress. All the animals kind of chipped in to make it work. And it was like that good community effort.
How many guests did you invite, and how many were able to make the trip?
We invited about, I believe, 71 to 72. Growing up in Oregon, we had family all over. We had about 65 end up making it. So that was really exciting. The budget was pretty true to what we planned because, people came and they were really excited about the venue.
Did you set up a room block for your guests?
We did. We looked at the different room blocks. Disney, of course, talked to their room block specialists, but what we needed wasn't quite on the Disney properties. So we actually found a 2-story loft penthouse with a outside balcony at Buena Vista Palace, which is a partner hotel. It's across from Disney Springs. So we ended up doing a room block there. It's through Hilton. So people were able to get their points and use their loyalty status. And it kind of worked out for the common good of the group to do it there.
That's interesting. Did you have transportation come and pick people up there, or did you meet at the wedding pavilion?
Yes. So we did have one motor coach come to pick up the guests from the Disney Buena Vista Palace and bus them in. We also gave our guests the opportunity to drive their own car and park at the Grand Floridian, knowing that the reception would end at the Grand Floridian. And we coordinated for the motor coach to pick everybody up at the Grand Floridian in the morning. So that way, that same bus that picked everybody up from Buena Vista Palace also met with the people at Grand Floridian, and then they all bussed into the park.
Oh, that's a great idea. Now, how did you guys choose the day of the week and time of day for your event? Probably the time of day was determined by Disney.
Yes, because it was inside the park, it had to be either before the park opened or, upon closing. So East Garden Plaza is obviously a early morning wedding, and I Was not entirely excited about that for obvious reasons, just because of the earliness of it, having bags under my eyes because I just woke up. But in the end, it was amazing. Like, we had a beautiful sunrise, and it was just so perfect. I couldn't imagine, just waking up the day of my wedding, and the first thing I do is basically marry the love of my life. And then the rest of the day was just having so much fun. It ended up being absolutely perfect, and I wouldn't do it different.
Did you get to choose the day of the week?
Yes, and we happened to have that Saturday available for the wedding, so that was perfect.
Got it. How did you choose Magic Kingdom for your ceremony and then St. Augustine for your reception?
We knew we wanted to go big again. If we were going to do it, we were going to do it big. So it was a trade-off. We wanted to do the ceremony in front of the castle in the park. East Garden was the perfect place for it. Being in front of the castle, but not having to wait till late evening after the park closed. And then for the reception, it just made sense from a transportation standpoint. It didn't cost any extra. So the money that we used for the actual venue for the ceremony, we didn't have to pay any extra to the St. Augustine. So it was a little bit of a trade-off there, but the ballrooms are beautiful and they're close to the park. And so it just kind of, everything fell into place. We went right from the ceremony to the reception. So that was really nice. We didn't have to wait if we were to do it in another theme park. It was a continuous event.
Got it. Okay. Now, one thing I noticed that you did that I haven't seen a lot of people do, but it's such a great idea, is at East Plaza Garden, there is this planter right smack in the middle. And usually Disney kind of shimmies the wedding aisle around it to get to the spot where they have you get married. But I noticed that you had them set up the chairs off center so that your aisle was straight. Can you talk a bit about that?
I had seen other videos and, the bride with her dad was kind of squeezed off to the side. And I mentioned it to the wedding planner and I honestly thought she forgot about it. It was just a passing idea. And then getting caught up in all the other planning, I forgot about it. And so I really think it was them that had the idea, to be perfectly honest. I don't really think I had much to do in that. And if that little side comment, they paid attention to it, then that just shows how detail oriented they are and how much they listen to their brides. So I honestly didn't show up to the ceremony saying, oh my gosh, this aisle better be off center from that planner. It just was. So I can't take credit for that. I just magically fell into place, but I was very happy it was off center.
Yeah, that's great. And it also makes it easier to get full-length portraits of you guys without having those railings in the way.
Yes, so true.
Now, did you guys use any outside vendors for the portions of your event that you were able to?
Yes, for invitations, we used Themes Come True. The owner, her name is Shelly, was fantastic. She was working with me on all the invitations. I'm a toxic perfectionist. I just want to call it like it is. So those little minute details that maybe wouldn't bother other people, they bother me. So she was very good at working with me and making sure the colors were correct. Cinemedia for the videographer, Steve and his team were absolutely amazing. Like I can't recommend them enough. The quality of their product. They did like a little teaser trailer and of course like a full motion picture film and it felt like I was watching a movie. We're actually gonna screen a movie theater privately to air our wedding video. And so that's just kind of the quality of it. It gave us that idea to screen it and rent out a movie theater. So I highly recommend him. Lejeune Makeup, they were based in Orlando. They work with a lot of early morning Disney brides. The bridal trial, the hair and makeup went off without a hitch. They were timely. They had all hands on deck for the wedding party. I cannot recommend them enough either. All of our consultants were so great.
That's fantastic. How did you choose your officiant?
Oh, the officiant is the Lord Reverend Daniel Paul Essen, the first, is what he calls himself. And really, he's my brother. So or else I wouldn't have ever hired anybody with that sort of name. He actually has a lordship title in Europe and he has a church and he does weddings as his side gig. So it was really fun to have him come officiate our ceremony. Fun fact, he's actually for University of Oregon, the duck mascot. He is one of them. So if that explains his personality, he's just a funny guy and I couldn't imagine anybody else doing the wedding for us.
What kind of entertainment did you add to the ceremony and the reception?
For the ceremony, it came with the string trio as part of the venue fee, so that was really nice, like classy touch. We were kind of back and forth, but at the last minute we said, no, we need to have major domo. Like if we're going to be in Magic Kingdom in front of Cinderella's castle, like we need to have the guy kind of head of the household with his white curly wig come out and really make it a scene. He took the rings and the best man thought he had the rings, but he didn't. So then when the officiant opened up the box, he said, where's the rings? And everybody was freaking out. And, of course, me and my husband and the officiant knew that there weren't rings. We clued in the best man at the very last second because we didn't want him to freak out or have chest pain or something. So, but then everybody else that was not clued in, even my dad. So when the Major Domo came out, it was a nice, fun Disney magic surprise for everybody. They still talk about it to this day. And for the reception, we had Mickey Mouse, of course. He came in for the wedding cutting. And then because of my college mascot, the duck his resemblance is Donald Duck. So I had to have the actual Donald Duck there as a surprise for my officiant, my brother, who is the Oregon Duck mascot. So I think when Donald Duck walked in the room, I've never heard him squeal like that, my brother. And he's like, I'm going to tackle that duck. He was just so excited.
Did you choose special costumes for Donald or Mickey?
They were very dapper, per usual, simple tuxes with a lavender vest to complement the wedding colors of like a more lavender and navy blue. And I tell you what, Donald, holy moly, that boy can dance. He was spinning, dipping it down. Like he was hilarious. Like he was almost breakdancing at some point. Like I was not expecting that, but it was like so on brand for him. And Mickey was, of course, a gentleman. He would spin everybody around. But Donald was crazy. My dad is like still he told all of his military friends about the breakdancing Donald Duck at my wedding, and he just giggles to this day about it.
Do you have any menu items or cake flavors that you would recommend?
Oh my gosh, yes. So my wedding planner, Cami, we asked her the same question. We said, what flavors would you recommend? And she said the lavender cake flavor with lemon blueberry filling. She said everybody loves it. It's perfect. It was delicious. I can't even explain, to the point where for our first year wedding anniversary, I ordered a smaller cake again to have that flavor combo. That was for the first tier, the bigger tier. The second tier, we did a different flavor. We actually did an almond cake with churro filling because I'm a churro fanatic. I'm like a hummingbird. I love sugar. So cinnamon sugar churros are my vibe. So we had that, and that was another great hit. I highly recommend those.
It's wonderful. Any menu items you would recommend?
I mean, the fairy tale brunch, because it was such an early morning event, we went right into brunch. So the drinks, the open mimosa and Bloody Mary bar was fantastic. The food for the fairy tale brunch, I really kind of wasn't sure what they were going to do, but it was a great mixture of like the Ohana noodles, which are fantastic, and Mickey waffles. So it really was like a breakfast lunch fusion. If I could have added something, I would have probably done the cheeseburger egg rolls. Those were so delicious, but in order to save money, we kind of said nah. But those were really good.
Got it. Can you tell my listeners a little bit about your combination birthday party / farewell party that you had in EPCOT?
Yeah, so my husband took forever to propose. So when he proposed, I said, all right, we're getting married. I'm not going to be another year older. So that was in May 2023. So we got married April 27th, 2024. And that was the day before my birthday on April 28th. So as a farewell to everybody that came to visit and my friends and family, we did that fireworks dessert party and fusion birthday party. We did it at UK Lochside in EPCOT. Fantastic venue, the best view of the fireworks. We didn't do alcohol because there was the tavern next door in Epcot, so people could walk over and get beer and come back. So that was a way to kind of save some money. And we did the ride mix-in, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's my favorite ride. I only had one bridezilla moment. I just want to be very honest this whole time. And that was when I wanted to do the Guardians of the Galaxy mix-in. And they said no because another party was already doing it, which is perfectly fine. But I put my head to pillow that night and I said, how come we're able to have churro flambe in EPCOT, all these things imported in for this dessert party, but the one thing they can't do is the ride. Like, come on, this is Disney. So I pulled a bridezilla moment. I'm not very proud of it in the moment, but now I'm really happy I did. I actually sent an email to the president of Magic Kingdom and the CEO of Disney. And when I tell you I wrote the essay of my life as to why this ride mix-in would mean the world to me and for them to make an exception, I put a picture of Walt Disney and a quote saying, if you can dream it, if you can see it, then you can do it. And I wrote this whole thesis of my life about this ride. And I waited. I sent it off. I sent it email. I sent it in the mail. I tracked it in the mail. And finally, I got a response from Jeff Val. I guess he's the president of Magic Kingdom or like this area of Walt Disney World. And he said, okay, they'll make an exception. So everybody was making fun of me the whole time. And then finally, when it paid off, they had to eat crow.
That's interesting. So then did you see the other wedding party when you went to do your ride mix-in?
No, I guess they had gone earlier. They just made it work. Magically, it made it work. So if there's one advice I could give to any Disney bride, it's of course you want to be within reason, but if something doesn't make sense or something really means a lot to you, fight for it in a very nice way because it really paid off for me. And I felt the spirit of Walt Disney. I know it sounds so corny, but they really came through. And those pictures of riding with my dad in my wedding dress and my husband is just, they're so valuable to me.
That's wonderful. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the wedding day ran?
Yeah. So I was up at 3:30 for hair and makeup. And around 5:30, we piled in, not to the motor coach, but another van that Disney coordinated to pick us up at the hotel, the Buena Vista Palace. We went to backstage at Magic Kingdom, which was so fun to see when nobody was there and it was pitch black out and it was so quiet. I met my husband in front of the castle for our first look. It was dark outside. And then we had the Cinderella coach as well in front of the castle. And we had family pictures with the Cinderella coach in front of the castle as the sun came up. So the sky was beautiful. That was from about, I would say, 6 o'clock to 6:45. Then we separated. I went in the Cinderella coach, hid behind backstage in the coach. About 7:15, our ceremony started. 7:45, it was done. And we were at the Grand Floridian at 8. So for the pre-reception, that was from 8 to 9. We, of course, practiced our first dance during that time. They actually did a room reveal where we could go into the St. Augustine Ballroom and see how they set up the room. Just me and my husband before the guests even saw it. That was such a special moment. I can't even explain just being in that room by myself, with my husband, of course, and just having that moment of peace. And then we were escorted out, and then the guests were escorted in, and Major Domo introduced the wedding party to the reception. So he went from Magic Kingdom to the St. Augustine Grand Floridian Ballroom with us, introduced everybody, and then said, all right, the dance floor's yours. We did our first dance. That was completed. Then we went and sat down. My dad did a welcome to everybody. The maid of honor did her toast. And then the best man did his toast. And then we did the amazing buffet. After that, our DJ has a Dancing with the Decades little routine he does. So we went from like Vogue to kick line. So it was a way to get everybody out through onto the floor after eating. And we had a ball on the dance floor. And then we did our father, daughter, mother, son dances. And then we did cake cutting, and that's when Mickey and Donald came in. Everybody had cake. And then we took pictures with Mickey and Donald outside of the room without guests, with just family members and me and my husband. And then after that, we invited them to come dance with us. So everybody had their cake. while we were taking pictures. And then when Mickey and Donald came back in, they could dance with everybody. And that was just a hit. And then after that, we were going to do a bouquet toss, but being my age, my single friends are very few and far between. So there would have been like maybe one or two out there. So I decided to do a little speech and take the toss bouquet and give it to my mother, because very rarely do you have the mother of the bride recognized. Everybody else kind of has their thing. So I gave her the toss bouquet and said, "Thank you for being my mom." And we danced a little bit more. We did a farewell dance, and then everybody kind of piled on the coach and off they went.
That's awesome. Who was your DJ?
DJ Michael Wyckoff. He is fantastic. My taste in music is very eclectic. So I said, look, I need like 90s R&B, ranging up to like new hits. Just, it's going to be all over the place. And he said, I got you. The Dancing with the Decades, of course, was a hit. He separated the room and made a runway. So everybody had their little runway moment. So the photographers and the videographer could catch everybody's runway walk. It was really fun seeing my dad going and doing his little model runway walk to Madonna's Vogue. And everybody was dancing. Nobody left early. The motor coach was hanging out outside in case anybody wanted to go back to the hotel. Nobody left early. I think that's really a testament to the entertainment, especially the DJ keeping everybody entertained.
That's fantastic. So out of all of this, what is your favorite memory of your wedding day?
That's such a hard question. I guess my favorite moment in general is just seeing how everybody just kind of, Disney brings out that joy and that youth in people, and everybody just kind of checked their ego at the door and were really able to just pull back into their childhood and have fun. And that's my real favorite memory. The other, I would say, oh, wow, I think pulling up in the Cinderella coach and seeing all my friends and family and seeing my bridesmaids walk down the aisle as I'm pulling around the corner in the Cinderella coach in front of the castle is also really surreal. That would probably be my secondary one.
That's great. Did you guys do your park shoots the next day, a few days after? How did those go?
We did our kind of early morning family park shoot before the ceremony. Then we did the dessert party the next day for my birthday. And then the following day on the 29th, I woke up 5 a.m., hair and makeup again, hair extensions going right back in. And then we did our early morning park shoot, just me and my husband. We did Route 1 at Magic Kingdom. I had to be on that carousel. I just want to be very open and honest. That carousel, it's, anybody who's been there knows. I had to get up in my wedding dress on that horse and show myself I could do it. And those photos were fantastic. Then, of course, the more castle pictures. And I had to get in the teacups as well. That was the other thing. So me and my husband are in the teacups, and I'm actually sitting on the edge with my leg out doing some sassy pose. And that was a lot of fun. The second park shoot we did was actually the groom's gift. He is a big Star Wars fanatic. So we stayed at Magic Kingdom for a few days, went home, kind of regrouped, and then came back to Disney on May the 4th, which is, May the 4th be with you, an official Star Wars day. And we did a Galaxy's Edge photo shoot, again, 5 o'clock in the morning. We didn't wear wedding dress or tux. We were in costumes that you would see characters in Star Wars wear. So he was in his full Jedi outfit with his lightsaber. I had the Princess Amidala gown on. It was really fun. That was a good memory. And, I won Wife of the Year for that one. And that was our last shoot.
That's awesome. When you guys were planning your wedding, what were some of the most important aspects of the event where you focused your attention or your budget?
Of course, the venue in front of the castle, that took a big chunk of the budget. That was number one. The Cinderella coach was a non-negotiable. There were times where I said, this maybe is too much, or, we should save some money and scale back. And my husband put his foot down and was like, no, that is something you said you wanted from day one. We will cut money other places. Again, you deserve this coach. So that was a big chunk of change. And then the characters. But again, they just added so much to our guest experience. And if they're waking up at 5 in the morning to catch a bus at 5:30 time frame, we wanted it to be something they would remember and have it be worth it. Those were the things that we really put a lot of money towards. For like where we cut money was definitely like the floral decorations, because the venue itself kind of has its own decorations built in, like that planter that we were talked about earlier. Just the beauty of it. We didn't need a lot of floral. And then we asked Disney to take a lot of the floral that we did put in the ceremony, transfer it to the reception. So we saved some money there. They didn't have to make a whole bunch of new bouquets. We turned them into our centerpieces. I slapped my bridal bouquet right on our sweetheart table, and that was my floral arrangement. So I kind of reused a lot of different stuff to cut money, and that was where we found the money to invest into the other things that were more meaningful.
Got it. Now, did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
No. I look back at that day, it could have been awful. It could have rained. We could have been relocated. You put this investment into this scenario, and it's Florida. And so if it's going to rain in the morning, they would have relocated us to Tomorrowland Terrace, which still has a good castle view, but it's not like in front of the castle. So that really would have been not so good if that happened, but we were blessed that morning. Really, the only thing that I would say I would do different would be to inform the videographer that we would have Major Domo do the ring prank, so that way they could turn back to our guests and see their reactions. We didn't fill them in that Major Domo was going to do that. So we missed kind of capturing those emotions and having it on our recordings to play back again.
That's a really good point. Was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about, and then it turned out not to be a big deal?
I think the early morning. I just imagined myself being this zombie bride that would have to like rise and just, get going in the morning and have coffee and just some caffeine injection to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. But the adrenaline of the day, oh my gosh, that kept me going. I didn't even have coffee that day. Like that's how 180 this was from. I had to pep talk, like, you got to get up. You're going to do this. It'll be fine. It's 3:00 in the morning. It's worth it. Oh no, I was up ready to go.
Do you have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples?
The beauty of Disney, especially getting married inside the park, is that there's so much that is just standard protocol that you don't have to think about. And that was really nice to have the majority of the vendors under one roof and coordinated by the consultant, which was, Disney employed. That was great. It was so seamless. The only hiccup was the ride mix-in, and of course that whole story. So that would kind of circle back to that advice is if you really want something, think of a way to make it happen. Ask nicely. The worst case is you're told no again, and that's fine. But at least you know that you did everything to make that one special day everything you dreamed it could be.
That's great advice. Well, Lorie, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Of course. Thank you for asking me. This was so fun to relive that day, and again, all the magic associated with it. And again, you are such a just important resource for brides, and I used your wedding guide as well. And I just want to say thank you for compiling this resource for us.
Oh, I'm so glad you found it helpful. That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.